Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshvari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. In our last discourse, we heard about this 10,000-year battle between Adi and Baka, who were actually Vasistha and Vishvamitra. Now we'll go on to chapter 14. King Janamejaya said, "O Vedavyasa, Maharishi Vasistha was the mind-born son of Brahma. How is it then that you have named him as Maitra Varuna? Is it that he got this name by some action or by some gunas? Kindly tell me the origin of this name, O best of speakers." Vedavyasa said, "O king, it is quite true that the illustrious Vasistha was the noble son of Brahma, but he had to quit that body due to the curse of King Nimi, and he had to take a second body from Maitri Varuna. Hence, he is named in this world as Maitri Varuni." The king said, "O Bhagavan, how was it that the religious Vasistha, the best of the Munis, the son of Brahma, was cursed by the king? Oh, the Munis have to suffer the dreadful curse of Kshatriya kings? This seems very unusual to me. O Knower of Dharma, why did the king curse the innocent Muni? I'm very curious to hear the cause of this. Kindly tell me the cause of this curse." Vedavyasa said, "O king, I told you already in particular all the causes of these. This samsara is pervaded by the three gunas of Maya, Sattva, by the three gunas of Maya, Sattva, Rajas, and Tama. Whether the kings practice their dharma or the ascetics practice their tapyas, all their actions are impenetrated with these gunas. Therefore, they cannot shine so brightly. The king, Munis, perform very severe penances and austerities under the influence of lust, anger, greed, and ahankara. O king, all, whether be they Kshatriyas or the Brahmanas, who perform their sacrifices overpowered with this rajasic guna, really none of them perform these actions guided by the sattvic guna. The king Nimi was cursed by the rishi, and the rishi was cursed again by the king Nimi. Thus they met with greater calamities and painful sufferings, the fruits from the hands of the powerful fate. O king, in this world of the three gunas, it is very difficult for the beings to get the dravya suti, kriya suti, and the pure effulgent sita suti. O king, know this as the influence wielded by the highest Shakti, the mother of this universe. Nobody is able to overstep it, but he whom she favors can cross in a moment that world bounded by the three gunas. What more can be said than the fact that Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma and the other gods cannot free themselves without her grace? Moreover, the sinners like Satyavata and others become free when her grace comes upon them. Nobody in these three worlds can know what reigns in her mind. Again, this is also a certain fact that she gets herself bound by her own will to her devotees. Therefore, it is extremely desirable that one should have recourse to the sattvic devotion for the complete removal of faults and sins. And as the devotion with attachment and vanity is always injurious to men, therefore it is highly beneficial to quit that. There is no doubt in this. O king, there was a king named Nimi, born of the family of Ikshvaku. He was beautiful, well qualified, virtuous, truthful, charitable, endearing to his people, a sacrificer, of pure conduct and manners, ready to govern his subjects, intelligent and endowed with knowledge. For the benefit of the Brahmanas, that high-souled king established a city named Jayantapur in close vicinity to the hermitage to the Gautama. Thus sometimes passed when the Rasak Rajasic idea arose in the king's mind that I will perform a sacrifice extending for a good many years, when I will give exorbitant dakshina remunerations to the priests and Brahmins. Getting permission from his own father, Isbaku, King Nimi began to collect all the ingredients necessary for the sacrifice as advised by the high-souled persons. He invited all the knowing munis and ascetics versed in the Vedas and in conducting sacrifices, such as Bhrigu, Angiri, Vamadeva, Gautama, Vasista, and all the others, all versed in the Vedas. Then that religious king Nimi, collecting all the materials necessary for sacrifice, worshipped his own guru, Vasista, and then spoke to him with great humility. O best of Munis, I will perform a sacrifice. Kindly perform this, my sacrificial act. You are my guru, and therefore you know everything. So do the sacrifice for me. All the articles for this purpose are bought and cleansed. O Guru, know that for 5,000 years I mean to be engaged in the sacrifice. This is my sankalpa. I will worship the goddess Ambika in this sacrifice, and for her satisfaction I am arranging for it according to the prescribed rules. Hearing the king Nimi's words, Vasista said, O best of kings, Indra, the god of the Devas, has already selected me for his sacrificial ceremony. Now Indra is ready to do the sacrifice for the perpetuation of the highest Shakti, and I have initiated him for 500 years. Therefore, O king, you will have to wait till I complete the Indra's yagya. After fully completing all his works, I will come here. Therefore, O king, wait till then. The king said, O best of Munis, I have already invited the other Munis for the sacrifice, have collected all the materials. How then can I wait for you? O Brahmana, you are the foremost of those versed in the Vedas, and you are the family guru of the noble Isbaku. How is it then, avoiding my work, you are ready to go elsewhere, O best of Brahmins? Under the uncontrollable greed of wealth, you have lost all senses, and you are ready to go away without doing my work. This does not behoove you. Though thus tempted by the king Nimi, the Rishi Vasista went to Indra's sacrifice. The king, too, became absent-minded and selected for the sacrifice the Rishi Gautama. He then commenced his sacrificial ceremony close to the ocean by the side of the Himalayan range and gave profusely the dakshina. The king Nimi was engaged in the sacrificial act for 5,000 years. In this, the priests were worshipped with sufficient wealth and cows. They were extremely glad. Then when the 500 years extending sacrifice of Indra was completed, the Rishi Vasista came to see the king Nimi's sacrifice and waited there to see the king. The king was then asleep, so the servants did not wake him from his sleep, and the king did not come to the Rishi. Feeling insulted at this, the Maharishi Vasista became infuriated with rage. Not seeing the king, he became very angry, and subject to this, he cursed the king. When I am your lifelong guru, especially when I prohibited you and you forsaken me and selected another guru, and by your sheer force you are initiated, then be devoid of your body. Let your body fall off today. The king's attendants, hearing thus the curse given by Vasista to the king, instantly woke him from his sleep and informed him that the Rishi Vasista, not seeing you, became very angry. The king Nimi, quite sinless, went then to the angry Vasista and humbly spoke to him the following reasonable words, pregnant with meaning. O knower of Dharma, I am your Yajamana. Though I repeatedly requested you to perform my sacrifice, yet you quitted me, but for the covetousness and went somewhere else. I cannot be charged with any fault. You are the foremost of Brahmins, and knowing that contentment is the substance of your Dharma, you did not feel ashamed to do this blamable act. You are the son of Brahma, and being versed in the Vedas, you are yet unaware of the subtle and very difficult nature of the Brahmanic religion. Now you want to cast your own fault on my shoulders, and you are trying to in vain to curse me. Anger is more to be blamed than Chandala. The wise man should overcome it by all means. When you, infuriated with rage, have been able to curse me for nothing, then I now curse you. Let your body, inflamed with anger, drop off. Thus the king cursed the Muni, and the Muni cursed the king, and both of them were therefore very sorry. Vasistha then became troubled with cares and took shelter with Brahma, and informing him about the great curse given by the king Nimi, said, Father, the king has cursed me, saying, let your body fall off today. Now the great trouble due to the falling off the body has arisen. What am I to do now? O Father, kindly tell me, from whom shall I take my birth, and take such means as I can get a body like what I have now? Also by your unbounded power, do so that I can retain the knowledge in that body as I have at present. You are fully competent to do this. O king, hearing thus the words of Vasistha, Brahma spoke thus to his dear son. Go and enter into the Tejas, the essence of Mitra Varuna, and remain contented. Then you will get in due time a body not born of any womb, and you will be again religious, truthful, knower of the Vedas, all-knowing and worshipped by all. There is no doubt in this. When Brahma said this, the Maharishi Vasistha bowed down to the grandsire, and circumambulating him, went to the abode of Varuna. Then he quitted his excellent body, and with his subtle body, the part of his jiva, entered into the body of Mitra Varuna. Then once on a time, Urvasi, an exquisitely beautiful and lovely, surrounded by her comrades, went willfully into the abode of Varuna. Mrita Varuna, the two devas, became very passionate to see that Apsara, the celestial nymph, endowed with youth and beauty, and being enchanted with the arrows of Cupid, and being senseless, addressed to the deva Urvasa, beautiful in all her parts thus. O lovely one, seeing you, we are very much troubled with the arrows of Cupid. O beautiful one, select us and remain and enjoy here at your pleasure. When they said this, Urvasi became attached to them, and under their control began to stay in the house of Mitra Varuna. When Urvasi began to remain there, strongly attached to them, the semen of Mitra Varuna dropped in an uncovered jar. And the two beautiful sons of the rishis were born out of that. Agasti was the first son, and Vasistha the second. Thus out of the semen of Mitra Varuna, the two ascetics were born. The first Agasti turned out a great ascetic in his childhood and resorted to the forest. Isvaku, the best of kings, selected Vasistha as his family priest. O king, Isvaku, the best of the kings, nursed him for the welfare of his own line, the more so because to know that he was the Muni Vasistha, and thus he was very pleased with him. Janamajaya, thus I have described to you about the getting of another body by Vasistha due to the curse of Nimi, and have also described his rebirth as Mitra Varuna's family. Here ends the 14th chapter of the 6th book on the birth of Vasistha from Mitra Varuna in the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapurana of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.